Hello, welcome to another English lesson. Today we are doing lesson 4 on Across the Divide, which is unit 6 for my second classes. Today we are talking about school today. Last time we talked about school in the 1990s. Let's see how school is today in Northern Ireland. If you're ready, let's get started. So, school today. We will be working on pages 20 and 23 of your brochure. You can see that you have a picture, some questions, and then some space to write your answers on. First of all, let's have a look at the picture. So look at the picture. Try to guess what these girls' relationship is. What do you think their relationship is? Well, they're smiling, they're in the same picture. They might be friends, but they probably go to different schools because they're wearing different uniforms. One is green, one is blue. And we know that in Northern Ireland, green and blue are not just any colors. They represent specific communities. They might be from different communities or religions because one of them is wearing a green uniform and one is wearing a blue one. They are both smiling though, so they don't seem to be enemies. Maybe they are taking part in a project where they meet people from different schools or different communities. So that's my answer to question 1. Question 2, we're going to watch part 1 of the video and we're going to check if we were right and why we think the director opted for the type of montage we're going to see. So we're going to watch the video twice and then answer the questions. So the questions are question 2 on part 1 of the video. Again, we're on page 22 of your brochure. Let's watch.
We have come together to make this video. Otherwise, we probably would have never met.
We come from opposite sides of the river.
We go to different schools and live separate lives.
Although we are 17 years old, we have had little contact with people from the other side of the community.
We are similar in many ways,
but 2 of us are Protestant and 2 of us are Catholic.
In our country, that is an important difference. Are you trying to separate us?
Guess who is who?
Are you already judging us?
What if we tell you our names?
What about now?
All right, let's watch again.
We have come together to make this video. Otherwise, we probably would have never met.
We come from opposite sides of the river.
We go to different schools and live separate lives.
Although we are 17 years old, we have had little contact with people from the other side of the community.
We are similar in many ways,
but 2 of us are Protestant and 2 of us are Catholic.
In our country, that is an important difference. Are you trying to separate us?
Guess who is who?
Are you already judging us?
What if we tell you our names?
What about now?
All right, so question 8, were you right? So what is the girls' relationship? Well, they are from different schools and communities, but they have met to work on a project together. How do we know that? They say, we have come together to make this video. Otherwise, we probably would have never met. Otherwise means autrement. Sinon. Sinon, on ne se serait probablement jamais rencontrés. We go to different schools and live separate lives. We have had little contact with people from the other side of the community. Be careful. Little in this context means peu. Nous avons eu peu de contact. C'est négatif. Nous avons eu peu de contact avec les gens de l'autre côté de la communauté. De l'autre communauté, sous-entendu. And finally, they say 2 of us are Protestant and 2 of us are Catholic. So we know that they are from different schools, different communities, and in normal life, they don't know each other. But again, they don't seem like enemies. Why do you think the director opted for such a montage? So we see that we have the teenagers, they are sitting side by side. And then very, they change seats, so we don't, visually we don't really know what order they are in. It's quite confusing. Why do you think that this was the choice of the director? So the camera keeps jumping between different shots and showing the 4 young people in different orders. They are talking about how they are different, but they don't say who is Catholic and who is Protestant. They ask if the viewer, that's you, is trying to decide in their head who is Catholic and Protestant. The jumping camera might be to confuse the viewer even more and to stop the viewer being able to make judgments about who they are, simply based on their faces, really. Also, by changing the order they are sitting in, it means that we cannot think, it's not possible that the 2 Catholics are sitting together and the 2 Protestants are sitting together, because they exchange seats all the time. And finally, they use the terms we and us, nous. So maybe they are showing they are united as a group, even though they are from different communities. Now, let's move on to part 2. And we need to comment on the girls' reactions and their uniforms. So let's watch part 2.
These uniforms label us as being different.
So what if we swapped? Would it be like swapping lives?
To walk in each other's shoes.
Oh my god, I feel different! Oh my god. I like it! Oh, I'm so green. Nobody's in screen. It's okay. I feel like...
These uniforms label us as being different. But what if we combine them?
Our generation has not seen the violence and conflict of the past with our own eyes, but we have been shaped by its legacy.
We live in peace, but we live apart.
Can we make sure the next generation does not grow up segregated as we have?
If we had met as children, I'm sure we would be friends.
It would have been good to have had the chance. Wouldn't it be better if our schools weren't divided by religion, symbolised by colour?
What if all the children starting school today in our country weren't separated like we were?
Okay, let's watch one more time and answer the questions.
These uniforms label us as being different.
So what if we swapped? Would it be like swapping lives?
To walk in each other's shoes.
Oh my god, I feel different! Oh my god. I like it! Oh, I'm so green. Nobody's in screen. It's okay. I feel like...
These uniforms label us as being different. But what if we combine them?
Our generation has not seen the violence and conflict of the past with our own eyes, but we have been shaped by its legacy.
We live in peace, but we live apart.
Can we make sure the next generation does not grow up segregated as we have?
If we had met as children, I'm sure we would be friends.
It would have been good to have had the chance. Wouldn't it be better if our schools weren't divided by religion, symbolised by colour?
What if all the children starting school today in our country weren't separated like we were?
All right, so part 2. Let's comment on the girls' reactions. So when they arrive after, swapping the clothes, they are really shocked to see themselves wearing the other's uniform. It looks like they've never done it. It's the first time. So they are quite shocked, and they start laughing and just comparing what they're wearing. And they are excited in a way, and they find it funny. It seems like it is a big deal for them to swap uniforms like this. It looks like an important thing. And, from outside, from France, where we don't really have uniforms in most schools, it's a little bit strange to be so excited to just have, a different uniform, a different color. So let's comment on their uniforms. The girls say that their uniforms label them as being different. And you remember, to label is like you put a label on a person. You categorize a person. So you put them in a specific category. They start combining the uniforms. For example, they keep the uniform, but they exchange the jacket. This seems to be a sign that they want to mix and interact with people from the other community rather than be divided. They suggest that schools shouldn't be divided by religion. By swapping the uniforms, they are showing that idea visually. And I have a quote from them that says, wouldn't it be better if our schools weren't divided by religion, symbolized by color? And I have one last question. I'm just going to move my little face. There we go. So the title of the documentary is Exchanging Stories, Changing Histories. How do they do this in the video? What do you think changing histories mean? So exchanging stories, how do they do this in the video? Well, they exchange stories by meeting people from the other community and talking about their experiences. Changing histories, so what do you think that means? This probably means that by meeting and sharing with people from the other community, they can start to change history and move past the divisions of the past, surmonter les divisions du passé. And finally, do you think the project worked? Well, an example of an answer would be, I think the project has worked because the young people made a film together and they seemed to like each other. And they say, if we had met as children, I'm sure we would be friends. It would have been good to have had the chance. Now, let's translate this in French because this is, quite a complicated sentence. Si on s'était rencontrés quand on était enfant, je suis sûre qu'on serait amis maintenant. Ça aurait été bien d'avoir eu cette chance. Sous-entendu, on l'a pas eu et c'est dommage. Et ce serait bien que les enfants actuels puissent l'avoir. However, the fact that they say they would like the school system to change for future generations means that the bigger problem still has to be solved. So they say that segregation is in the present now, in 2020, still in effect. It's not changed. So I have a quote, how can we make sure the next generation does not grow up segregated as we have? Comment peut-on s'assurer que la prochaine génération ne grandisse pas séparée, ségrégée comme nous l'avons vécu? All right, so this is it for page 28 and page 29. Now let's do a little bit of pronunciation. So we are on page 11. And let's start exercise 5. So exercise 5 is all about the pronunciation of the letter I. First of all, listen to the pronunciation of these words and pay attention to the pronunciation of the underlined letters. I'm going to read it once and then I'm going to put on a recording where you can actually listen to a different voice. So if I read it, island, difficult, divide, division, community, child, children, political, mixed, marriage, inclusive. Now let's listen in a different voice.
6. Pronunciation of the letter I. A. Island. Difficult. Divide. Division. Community. Child. Children. Political. Mixed. Marriage. Inclusive.
Now I'm asking you to classify the words depending on whether the sound is I, that's the first column, or E, which is the second column. So the first word, island. Island, the sound is I. Difficult. Difficult, both letters are pronounced E. Difficult. Divide. This is the I sound, divide. Division. Division is in the second column. Community. Community. Second column. Child. Child is the I sound. Children. Children is in the second column. Political. Political again is in the second column. Mixed. Same thing. Marriage. Marriage. Same. Inclusive. Inclusive. Same thing. So we see that the majority are pronounced E, while in some cases you have the I sound, which is usually when you have the letter I, then a consonant, then an E at the end. So island, divide, you see there's an I-R-E or I-D-E, and then you have the exception of child, which is a specific word. So now practice reading the paragraph from exercise 1 aloud. Let's listen to a speaker and then I suggest you read it by yourself.
The Troubles in Northern Ireland refers to a political conflict. There are communities with different national and religious identities. Some people wanted to form a nation with the Republic of Ireland, and some wanted to remain in the UK. Many people feel there has been a form of segregation in Northern Ireland, which largely continues today. Children often go to school with people of the same religion, so education is often segregated in practice. Mixed marriage has also been a difficulty for many people in the past. To make Northern Ireland a more inclusive place, many people think that we need to look past our differences in terms of politics. Change can be difficult, but many argue that there should be more inclusion at school and people should be able to get married to whoever they like.
All right. So again, I suggest you train yourself and read this text out loud as slow as you want, as many times as you need. Now let's move on to exercise 6. In exercise 6, we have to work on stressed syllables, les accents toniques, stressed syllables. You know that in English, words that are 2 syllables or more have one syllable that is strongly stressed, accentuated, and the rest is lighter. So your job is to listen and identify the stressed syllables. I suggest you take a highlighter and highlight the stressed syllables in each word. Let's listen once in my voice and then with a different speaker. History, historical, national, nationality, politics, political, separate, separated, separation, territory, territorial. Let's listen in someone else's voice.
Word stress. A. Listen and identify the stressed syllables. History, historical, politics, political, conflict, conflictual, territory, territorial.
You can hear that I've taken out one pair, which was conflict and conflictual. That's all right, you don't need to use those. So let's classify the words and underline the stressed syllable. So history, first, is it a noun or an adjective? History is a noun, so we're going to put it in the noun category. History. The stressed syllable is the first syllable. Historical. Historical is an adjective, and the stressed syllable is the second syllable. National. National is an adjective. The stressed syllable is the first syllable, national. Nationality. In this case, it is a noun, and the stressed syllable is the third syllable, nationality, just before the end. Politics. Politics is a noun. Political is an adjective. We see that in politics, the stress is on the first syllable. In political, the stress is on the second syllable. Separate. Separate is an adjective. The stress is on the first syllable. Separated. Separated is an adjective as well, and the stress is on the first syllable as well. Separation is a noun. In separation, the stress is on the third syllable, just before the end. In territory, the noun, the stress is on the first syllable, territory. In territorial, the adjective, again, the stress is on the third syllable, just before the end. So what do we notice? We see that we have pairs of words, correct? We see that we have nouns and adjectives. Sometimes there is a suffix on the adjective, sometimes there's a suffix on the noun. It depends on the pair, but when we add some suffixes, like the suffix ickle or itty or shen or ile or eel, the stressed syllable in the word will shift. So originally, the stressed syllable is, if there is no suffix, usually on the first syllable: history, national, politics, separate, territory. But when we add the suffix, the word will have a new stressed syllable. It will shift, and usually it will fall not on the last syllable, but on the next to last syllable, just before the end. As in historical, nationality, separation, territorial. So you see that it is on the syllable before the suffix. It seems that the suffix automatically creates a new stress in the word. This is it for today's lesson. Thank you so much for your attention. Please take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.